Is Tesla primed for a crash? What should you be looking for in the Q1 earnings report? What else could drive Tesla stock price down? I'll answer those questions and more for you right now. Welcome back, everyone. In this video, we will cover the Q1 earnings call, other potential drivers of a huge price drop, the two possible outcomes for Tesla stock, and a warning to investors. And if you like making money and want to do it with a guy who doesn't have a rented Lamborghini, but would like to buy one in the future and give some lucky subscriber a ride in it, go ahead and subscribe, hit that little notifications bell, and while you're down there, go ahead and give the video a like as well. Can you even legally give somebody a ride in your car on YouTube? I don't know. As you guys know, I'm bullish on Tesla long term, but I'm not a blind bull. And it would be foolish not to consider the potential downsides lurking for Tesla stock. They are real. Now remember, this is just my opinion based on my research and some other things I'm hearing and seeing. For entertainment purposes only, of course, because I'm a complete idiot, so you should never listen to me. And in case you guys didn't know, my new camera has a screen that I can actually see, so I can, fix these when they get all crooked on me. Hey, improvements here, slowly but surely improvements. Tesla's Q1 earnings report. This earnings report is critical to Tesla given their recent run-up. And since I'm showing you how there could be trouble ahead, we will be looking at a potential not so good earnings report. I will link the video at the end of this video of the video, that's too many videos, that I made last week that talks about what I think will happen if Q1 earnings call is better than expected and the path to get the $1,000 per share. So check that out after you watch this video, but not before. It screws up the YouTube algorithm. Just like liking the video helps the YouTube algorithm. I'll learn to say the word algorithm one day. And it's pretty sad that my life is now run by algorithms and other things I can't pronounce. Even though I believe Tesla will hit their marks, there are some potential landmines waiting out there that could sink an otherwise good earnings call. So let's talk about those. I've been saying it now for the past few weeks, but I firmly believe Tesla is robbing Peter to pay Paul. And they are the only car company in the world that can do that. Essentially, for every buyer that is backed out, canceled, or is just uncertain and wants to wait a little bit, there is another buyer waiting to take delivery right behind them. But what if that demand isn't as strong as we think? We have basically been assuming, and then pricing it into the stock price, that Tesla sales will remain on par with the delivery gains seen at the end of Q1. But what if that demand wasn't as strong as we thought? Or what if Elon alludes to the fact that sales so far in Q2 aren't as strong as the guidance that is already out there? That could spell potential trouble ahead for Tesla stock. Now don't get all bent out of shape and run to the comment section just yet. I'm not saying that they will take the hit that legacy automakers are taking. It won't even be close to those guys, so everybody just calm down. We need calm. But the legacy automaker stock hasn't soared over 100% over the past month. And let's be honest, it really doesn't mean a lot to say Tesla had better sales compared to Ford or GM. The bar is higher for Tesla, fair or not. Is that higher? Yeah, higher. Does that look funny, by the way? Never mind. The second potential landmine I see is the China growth. The growth in production and sales in China has just been staggering. And it has been one of the main reasons for the optimism behind Tesla hitting the numbers despite the shutdown pretty much everywhere else in the world. But what happens if the growth in China wasn't actually growth, but rather just pent-up demand due to the illness lockdown in China? That would mean that there wasn't any actual real growth in demand. Add in further pressure on Tesla to lower its price on the Model 3 in China to keep up with the ever-changing Chinese EV credit program. We could do a whole different video altogether trying to figure out the ins and outs of what they're trying to do with all that. In any case, it may cause a dip in the revenue. Both are negative points in what has been a real bright spot heading into this lockdown period. And the final potential landmine I see is if Elon adjusts his guidance down. Tesla has yet to move any of its guidance down for the, illness. Yes, Wall Street has adjusted some of the estimates down for Tesla, but the company itself has not put out any new guidance. So now they're in a situation where even if Tesla is able to hit the numbers that they wanted to hit for Q1, if they make any adjustments down in their guidance for Q2, it could cause a significant drop in the stock price. And let me explain why. Tesla has been almost defiant during this lockdown. basically acting like and telling anyone and everyone that this illness thing is not going to affect them at all. They've been saying things like, look at the growth in China. We're still full steam ahead, no changes. Virtually every other big company in the world has adjusted all their numbers down. But Tesla has been telling everyone they're good. And the investors have been pricing that in, which is one of the big reasons why it's more than doubled in a month or so. So any lowering of the guidance from the company would signal that the illness is having an effect on Tesla. In the end, if any of these things happen, it could spell trouble for Tesla stock. And like all things Tesla stock related, I believe the reaction would be an immediate overreaction and would cause a huge drop for the stock in the coming weeks, especially as everybody digests the news that we will talk about next that could compound the drop even further. Other drivers of a huge price drop. I've been saying it for almost a month now, but Wall Street is completely ignoring the impact of the illness on the global economy. I firmly believe they have priced in a best case scenario for the entire market. And I'm seeing some of the same patterns I saw on the run up to $900 plus for Tesla back in February. Go ahead, search Tesla and you might forget about this global recession that is here. There are more and more articles, videos, all that other stuff out there saying things like Tesla to 1,000, 3,000. I even saw one worth $5,000 per share. Even if we all feel they will get to those levels, you cannot price that in right now. But it's really starting to look like people are starting to price in too much potential and not enough reality. Don't believe me? Just look at what happened on Monday morning. Tesla asked a few dozen workers to go back to work against the stay-at-home order they had already violated once and got shut down by the sheriff's department, so they lost that fight. And the stock price jumped almost 10% on something that most likely will get shut down, especially if California extends their stay-at-home order. This is just baffling and shows irrational exuberance at its finest. Now, Tesla might eventually be a recession-resistant company, but I'm much more of a prove-it type of guy, and Q1 earnings call will go a long way towards that. But these type jumps in price just scare me, and they give me that feeling like the rug is about to be pulled out from underneath me, even with a good earnings call, and I just don't like that feeling. The Fed, GDP numbers, and unemployment numbers. It's not getting as much attention now on Monday, but all the talk ahead of Tesla's earnings call will be about the Fed and GDP reports earlier that day. If GDP falls more than expected for the first quarter, and the unemployment numbers are equally ugly on Thursday, it adds credence to the sentiment that this is real and the recession is here. So the holdout saying it's not that bad will be hit with hard data proving otherwise. Oh yeah, and we all know Q2 is going to be significantly worse. It will be interesting to see the Fed's notes and how they lay out the next quarter. They know they move markets regardless of whether they like it or not. So I expect a sunny side up report, even if it's bad, just so they don't sow panic in the markets. If the language isn't rosy of some sort, it could really hurt the overall markets. And as we saw with the drop in March, even Tesla cannot swim against the current in the short term if the entire market falters. So if this data is especially ugly and investors start to price in an even worse April, we could see an even bigger drop in the markets. One that Tesla just can't fight off in the short term. And the final point that could drag down Tesla stock is FAANG stocks not meeting expectations. Everybody knows the FAANG stocks, right? I'll put them up on the screen for you if you don't know which ones they are. Did you guys see that? Did it show up there? Okay, good. This would really hurt the markets overall, which is really being propped up by a few big players, with the FAANG group being front and center. Fair or not, Tesla is often compared to the next Apple or Amazon. And if they are struggling despite being fully prepared and being in markets that should perform much better than the auto market, it will be taken as a sign even these tech giants can't outrun this decline. Now, I personally feel they will all come out collectively just fine, even great in a couple of cases. But if it's not as good as expected, or worse, you can expect it will put some downward pressure on Tesla. But what you really want to be on the lookout for is the FAANG stock group making an investment in my channel by subscribing and liking my videos. Hey, if they make those announcements, you better jump in and subscribe and like quickly. I don't want any of you to have FOMO from missing out on that. I hate FOMO. The two possibilities for Tesla stock and a warning to investors. I believe Tesla stock is going to do one of two things. I got that right. Did you guys see that? And there will be no middle ground, unfortunately, with this stock. Other companies might see a max of a 10% swing up or down based on an earnings call. Tesla will swing significantly more, in my opinion, of course. They could be on the verge of a breakout up to $900 plus and testing new highs, especially if quarter one numbers beat expectations and the guidance is not adjusted. Do I think we will see Tesla over $1,000 per share? It's possible, but probably not, as we couldn't get over that hill before the downturn when the economy was just buzzing. But with this stock, you never say never. Let me show you a path where it could go way past that number. Combine a good earnings report with no adjustments for future earnings, good quarter one reports from the FAANG group, and Fed notes that aren't completely depressing, and GDP declines better than expected, and you might literally be cooking with rocket fuel. If all those things happen, then I think 1K is the minimum we will see for this stock, as it will be ultra frothy. My favorite word, frothy. But to be completely fair, I need to show you the opposite side of the coin. A weak Q1 report from Tesla and the FAANG group, an adjustment down in guidance from Elon, and grim news from the Fed, and I could see it marching right back down to $600 or so, with the possibility to go all the way down below $500 or more if I kind of give a worst case scenario to this. Now please listen carefully. Tesla is the only mainstream stock that can trade in this kind of wildly different range. If I was giving you price predictions for Apple, the number would be within, 10% or so up or down. So if you own or are looking to own Tesla stock, then you are signing up to ride the Tesla roller coaster. It is without a shadow of a doubt the most FOMO-inducing stock I have ever owned. And I'm not even using hyperbole here. I'm being dead serious. And that is just simply because it does not trade rationally or like any other stock. When it runs up fast. And when it falls just as quickly. So if you want help with FOMO, join the FOMO chat group that is linked down in the description below. And click this video right here for the bull case for this earnings call. Thanks.